fix this. I don't know why it wouldn't let me tag you. Let's see if it'll let me do it on the video. There it goes. Let's see here. All right, let's see if I can. I don't know why it wouldn't let me tag you. That happens sometimes, but
It does. It does. I have noticed a few weird, just weird things. It's almost like a button was missing where I always knew that
now,
there was one and stuff
well,
like that. Like,
this is let me do it. So this it let me tag you,
oh, cool.
I believe. Yeah, let me tag you. Wow, that's weird. Hang on. What in the heck? Okay, that's really strange. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Test, test. I don't know what's wrong with my microphone. Can you hear me all right?
Very well.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you back. Thank you for coming back in. Welcome everybody that's tuning in with us. It's been a heck of a November, and we're already what 4 days into December, 5 days in the Southern Hemisphere, and I think it's going to be a very I actually think it's going to be an incredible month by the time we get through it, because we've got the solstice, of course, and that's always a real that's always a big event, right? To leap
It
us into
is.
the next, yeah.
Mm,
And that three-eye atlas, whatever that is going to be
mm,
closest to the Earth. I think what is it between the 19th and the 22nd, something like that.
mm. That's right.
So that should be interesting. It's interesting watching everybody with their predictions of what it is, you know.
Mm.
But yeah. So anyway, okay. How you been? What's been going on since we last
Oh,
talked to you? Last time we talked to you was the first time we
ah,
talked to you since you got back from
yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
And uh, yeah, there's just been a lot going on. And
Yes, that's
yeah,
exactly how I have been.
yeah.
There's a lot going on, and am a person who I think I'm faster than slower, as a person, if we can make a distinction. And for me, I normally am okay with a lot of action and a lot of information coming in and a lot of happenings. But definitely, I am saying that I feel the last few weeks very overwhelmed. I just feel that there's a lot of noise, even with the Atlas, phenomena there. It's almost like I'm shutting down, too much information coming into my field, and I'm trying to integrate, and catch up with my integration. Yet a lot of things are happening in my space. A big culmination energy in my space, but exciting. At least things are moving forward in December, so I do like that a lot. Um, from an astrological perspective, there are a lot of, like I said to you, squares, which are generally just, tasks, things that are keeping us on our toes. I'm quite used to them because my chart is full of them, so I'm always task ready, if you will. But I also am looking forward to the solstice. I'm looking forward to that slow down. I'm looking forward to slowing down a little bit and just put it all down. And I think that that is my plan, you know, just by the fire and just quiet down. And I am looking forward to that. But until then, enjoying the busy and the buzz and the action. And here I am again. This is, I think, the fourth, you know.
Yeah. And so what is a square? I'm curious because I don't I've
Mm,
heard the term, but you mentioned it
mm,
3 times that it's
mm,
task oriented. Are you
mm,
talking about like
mm,
human task? Are you talking about like
mm,
soul uh
mm.
confronting
Yeah.
revelations and
Mhm.
epiphanies and changes based on that?
Yeah, in astrology, everything is very mathematical, number one. So the sky is extremely mathematical, and it's pattern recognitions too, and everything is really pretty much boiling down to um, when it comes to settings, like a square, it's a 90 degree, like, you know what I mean? So when two planets are in a 90 degree square to each other, so then that's square is a square. It's like
Mm,
you can be stuck in the corner. You don't want in the corner. you
mhm,
you so you it's a task, something you got to deal with. You cannot just leave it, some area of your life, and a planet there meets another area of your life, and a planet there in the sky. So versus your natal chart to the current sky, what are the correlations? Are they favoring you? Are they not favoring you? Are they rolling a task in front of you? And when you understand all of this, it's not about predictions. It's about oh my God, what's the word I want to use? I think I'm even stuck with it. It's about you mining the chart. It's about you infusing yourself in there and integratively, understand that you can mine possibilities and probabilities. So the more you know them, the more you can actually draw, with your 3D life reality to that blueprint, and you can recognize what you can bring out of it. Or even if there's a task, like something you even don't like doing, but you're going to have to do it. You're going to come to it, and something is going to force you to deal with something you haven't done before that you already
mm,
should have.
mm.
Those moments in our lives where it's just like we put it off, and then all of a sudden some comes that we really want. But in order to get that, we got to deal with this other thing.
Mm.
That to me is what the square, energetics represent. And December is full of these tasks, and so usually squares don't let us just sit and chill too much. you know
Uh, well, I must be connecting to every square on the for the entire year and every month.
oh dear.
But no, I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm
No,
good.
no, it's
What
just,
I
just
what I
pressure and heat. It's pressure and heat. And what happens with pressure and heat? What does it do? We talked about this actually before on one of your shows.
pressure and heat. So I guess that would be expansion. Heat
Mhm.
would heat,
Transformation, right?
yeah,
so
transformation.
so so imagine the coal and the diamond,
Mm,
how that pressure and heat, and actually throughout time it's forming what we call diamond.
mm,
And though we value the two things differently, right? Same composition but different structure. So that transformation is really truly, a lot of people are in a major transformational phase of their lives. And then talking about all the codes, and we talked about this, the solar codes, Earth is reprogramming, which
right.
obviously inevitably going to affect us. How could it not? And so that is a pressure on its own merits. And then we all have all this internal restructuring going on, going into the crystallization process. So we're constantly going through this pump, once heat, once pressure, and then we grow, and then it keeps going. And I think a lot of us are going through that. And for sure, you're going through it, especially if you feel that the whole year has been like that. I kind of feel the same, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't think anybody can deny that. This year's been
Mm,
incredible. Each year, since I've been doing this, or since I reawoke in 2011. Every year's,
mm,
I mean, to me, every year's gotten better, but every year's also been more revealing.
mm.
And of course, this is a 9 year, which is completion,
Yes.
and I'm 63 until another 5 days, so I'm completing a
Mm.
9 year, and
Sagittarius are we? Yes, I know,
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I think it's interesting what you're bringing up about the astrology. I'm curious, of course, you have like the Kali Yuga, and then of course the numerology aspect of a
Yeah.
9 year.
Yeah.
then of course the idea of an ascension is there like, is there like a connection or any type of evident, evidence, or anything that's more obvious in the stars, so to speak, that speak to this cycle of time, to what
Yes.
people, yeah, okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And that is, if we talk actually astrology, and if we talk about the sky, then Neptune is the big boss of the sky for quite a many years now. Okay, so no matter what you do, is how you actually, if you know how to read charts and everything, which I'm not going to go into it here, but if you just follow your fingers and you follow the trail of your planets, pretty much the boss always at the end is Neptune for the last so many years. It's profound. It's been like about 15 years, if I'm not mistaken. And why? Because this planet is an outer planet. It means it affects everyone. So it's not a personal planet like a Mars or Venus would be that interacts with us daily, much more so. But this guy is a big guy, outer planet, impacting the entire existence of all of humanity. And what it also does, it's like an eraser, or it's a solution to pollution, is dilution. So it's diluting the energetic space in all of us, macro, micro. We know that as above, so below. So take it as it falls. That it's diluting all of it. So look at how many of us have gone through a spiritual journey, a dark night of the soul, deleting things out of our lives that don't belong, or the universe did, or brought something down where we had to deal with ugly and nasty, and even when it hurt. But now, if you look back, then you go, okay, maybe that was not supposed to be what will have significance in my new big cycle of Saturn. And Saturn is Chronos, right? It's time. It's karma. And he turns every 30 years, every 30. And this 30-year turn is coming at the end of January and February 14th, respectively. And that is when the two planets, Neptune, which is the most delusional and ethereal, and Saturn, which is the most dense and lowest vibrational, in the sense of that it's very three-dimensionally. Are you going to make it happen? Where is it? Why don't I see it? Discipline yourself. Pull it together. Or I'll create the structure for you, but do you really want this? Have you thought about it? Did you already do your own imagination fantasy of what you really want for the next 30-year cycle? Because that's what's coming. That's what's
Yeah.
coming. And for, let's say, you who's 63, I'm 52, like, so most people have generally two Saturn returns in their lifetime of this vessel. And some may have three if they really experience the first Saturn return early enough, and then if they have a long enough life, then they may experience three of them. So now we're going through our second one, most likely.
Hmm.
I would say for you as well. Maybe actually this could be your third. If
Could
at
be.
age three, but at age three, it's not really having a significance yet. So it's a big cycle. So after February 14th, brand new, whatever you've imagined that you want. So really, to do vision boarding right now, like, to do it up to January, is a beautiful thing. Do it now. Do it prior to the 26th of January time, at which time Neptune leaves a whole big cycle, about 106, pardon me, I forget, 200 and something years, or 100, I think maybe 248 years, something like that. It goes around its orbit. So we're never going to experience this in this lifetime
That's
ever
interesting.
again.
That's
Ever
interesting.
again. See
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like a huge cycle, and then it's coming back to a 0 degrees
So it's been,
Aries.
I think you're right about the 200 and roughly 250 years, because
Yes.
I have a friend that's an astrologer, And I remember him telling me several times
Mm.
um, that, what was it, that the United States is coming up to something. And I think it might be
Oh,
involved.
Pluto. That would be the
The,
Pluto return. That
the
would be
Pluto
Pluto
return.
return. And
Yeah.
Pluto is another, the Pluto, because Pluto is now a different guy, not to really go dissect into the planets, but Pluto is a real transformer. It's got its significance as well because it's now in Aquarius, and we're also in the age of Aquarius. So a lot of things are going to see this Aquarian energy, the digital space, AI, the higher mind, the mind. Aquarius is the mind, robotics, technology, medical technology, which a lot of them could be to our benefit, but I'm afraid that might not always be the case. But going back to the big Neptune guy, Neptune is very famous in someone's chart when they've got major imagination, when they are artists, they are filmmakers, they're storytellers, they are so they've got like they're like just arts, like their imagination is huge. So how's your imagination? What kind of a visionary are you right now for your life? So say new cycle starts, where do you see yourself? How do you want that to look? And so whatever needs to be in this new cycle will stay with you beyond January 26th. And then in 2 weeks or so time, Saturn meets Neptune up at that 0 degrees Aries, brand new point. We call it a world axis. It's 0 degrees, brand new start. Reset, boop, boop. And so a lot of people have their belief system changed the last 14, 15 years. A lot of people have gone through a lot of spiritual journeys. There's more and more of us are going through the ascension processes, which means what? It means ether energy rising. So little coiled serpents started to move upward. We're more into understanding energy and healing or fantasy or imagination is now way beyond just the physical structures. We understand that there's so much more out there. You know what I'm saying? That expansion, even if it's not everyone, but many and more and more. And that's
Mm.
why I really feel like even just me as someone that was in law formerly, like so many of us changed careers, left
Yeah.
like big careers, and we just left. Like there was just something in our life, something happened, something initiated us into this process. And that really became very strongly out there in the last 14, 15 years of Neptune being in Pisces. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the finisher guy. Pisces is encompassing all. It's extremely intuitive. They are also a lot of times artists, writers, people that use their imagination. You know what I'm saying? A
Mm.
very ethereal, very watery sign. Extreme amount of connection they have with energy. Pisces often like to be alone also. They don't really, they're mostly introverted in a way. There too much people around them will exert their energy. They don't like it. Because they're extremely empaths. A lot of them are very empaths. So imagine Neptune in this last sign says everything is gotta go that don't belong for all of you folk. You all. We're on. And February 14th onward, whatever remains where you just feel that you've calibrated that in yourself, within yourself, that I know that this has got to stay with me, or there is a purpose for this in my life, or this friendship, yeah, even if we had a kerfuffle 20 times the last 10 years, for some reason, this person is a stayer, or this other person, not going to work. So then we're just going to leave each other behind, and everybody goes on their own journey, therefore, on onward. So that Saturn will give this a structure of what your imagination and vision is for yourself. And so there's been a lot of rearrangement as a result. The building blocks are constantly moving. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like, brick and mortar and brick and okay, and let's go build it up. And no, no, oops, that brick just moved away over here. What happened? Like in the Harry Potter, just rearranging that wall, and then you're in another realm. So people understand the other realms much better too, I feel, at least. That's my experience. That's what I see in the communities that I am in.
Mm, mm. I
And yeah.
I saw something a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's true. I should have researched it, but it was an article talking about. Oh, I know what it was. It was a Sagittarius website on X,
Mhm.
and I saw a post from them, so I went to the site just because I'm Sagittarius, and just wanted to see what they were about. And they said that the rarest zodiac sign is Sagittarius, 7%. And then
Oh,
it gave the second one, and I can't remember what that
I
was.
didn't know that.
I I didn't either.
Look.
I didn't either.
Wow.
That's pretty wild. And
Yeah.
I thought it was wild too because if that's the rarest one, I'm actually that 13th sign, that Cepheus or whatever it's called, which would
Mhm.
make it even less of a, more rare.
Wow.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of strange.
Mm,
But now, how about the are the solstices and the equinoxes related to the astrology?
mm.
And
Very much.
the reason I'm asking that is because the if okay, so like it's come across to me a few times, uh,
Mhm.
and I hold it in a pretty high regard, and actually had a personal transmission or a download years ago. For a couple of years, I had a lot of lucid dreams about the galactic wars and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and that there was a time before the moon was here.
Mhm.
And some of the indigenous talk about when there was no moon, okay,
Mhm.
and that the moon was artificial and was brought
Mhm.
over here, and and we all know it's 1/400th of the size of the sun, and the eclipses and equinoxes are unique as far as we know,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, scientifically, to this planet.
Mhm.
So when I look at astrology, I say, okay, well, the stars are the stars. I get that. Okay. And I think what you said about the angles and the mathematics of it, I think applies certainly. But it's almost like, okay, well, if that's the case and something else was brought in,
Mhm.
uh, that's affecting the astrology, so to speak, of the planet,
Mhm.
or I guess of
Mhm.
anything really, because the
Mhm.
moon would carry certain
Mhm.
energies. So I
Mhm.
just wondered. I mean, I know the power of the equinoxes and the solstices, no doubt. I mean, there's no question about it. There's definitely an influence there. But
Mhm.
as we look at these things, even looking at Saturn, where it has a hexagon on its north pole, I believe it's its
Mhm.
north pole, and then of
Mhm.
course the different organizations and religions that are tied to the black cube, which is tied to Saturn. Like I just find that all kind of fascinating
Mhm.
because I look at everything, including the stars, as
Mhm.
in within the container itself. Like
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just an interesting proposition, and maybe some of these
Yes.
things will come out now
Mhm. I
because
think yes, yes, we will have more and more an understanding, but also all of what you've said had so much. Number one, I want to say this actually out loud, that I don't know. All I know is that the more I know, the more the rabbit hole, the deeper it goes. And number one, number two, it is in my understanding and at the level of consciousness where I am, or how or she operates, my understanding is that this is a larger matrix that we're a part of. So I don't even really look at the matrix of that day to day, those people whose names I'm not going to name on this channel at all, people, that are running, governments and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's not even it for me now. I'm
No,
looking at this
I think
larger me.
no, I think you're right. I think more and more people, like the people I've talked to on the show this year, all that stuff globally is becoming less and less and less of
Exactly. So
of their
that's the way.
attention. Yeah.
Yes, because you know why? Because it's this is exactly what Neptune is also doing. That instead of fighting, I don't want to fight you, just I'd rather it go obsolete. So by us understanding the larger picture, then this other game becomes actually more and more obsolete. I don't care what anybody says. I will see it right here on the World Wide Web. You know, as I ran, incorporated company for so many years and everything. And so I know the rules and regulations and all the costs that it cost me, money I'm talking about. Like, let's say, build a website, lots of money, have a graphic designer, have to lots of money. I'm talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. I'm talking 25 years ago because I ain't that, I'm actually not that novice anymore, So that's been even back then a lot of money. But now I notice, for example, that in my business, I get a lot of offers where I help someone and they help me. And let's say that would result in no money exchange but energetic exchange. So what you see where I'm trying to go with this, and it's happening very organically, is what I'm saying in my life. It's not happening because I'm planning it or I'm going with a narrative of some sort. I'm going with nothing. It's just happening. And I realize how much value I get without actually moving $1 across the board. I actually am not that much on that ledger
Yeah.
by nature. So it's if we see where I'm going with this, that how things become obsolete that seem to have been so important before. So now I'm thinking, how is this going to grow? I think it's this phenomenon is going to expand huge as we move forward, as we become more collective based, collectives, communities. Yes, individualism. In other words, I'm me. You don't like it? Ship. Go elsewhere. Really? What else can I say? But we still can work collectively. We still can be respecting each other and then work collectively, both ideas. So I'm not talking about a selfish human who doesn't give a damn about anybody else. See what I'm saying? I'm just saying we all respect to whom we are. So we're all finding this individual me energy, which was very important because we were told it's wrong. You got to serve the others. What do you mean you're selfish? What do you mean it's about you? And now we're learning that it is all about me. Because if I'm not well, if I'm not harmonized, if I'm not, in a harmonious state, if I'm exhausted, if I'm burnt out, if I'm used up, if I'm, how can I serve anybody?
Mm.
Well,
Yeah, of course. And
hear
I
me
think
out. Like, I don't know. Did I just run off the,
no, 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 no,
chart
no,
here a
no,
little
no.
bit? But
Let me just recap it. I get what you're saying. Now there is definitely, and a lot of people have talked about it on the show this year about this organic, natural unfoldment of things occurring, and what you're talking about, this whole idea of selflessness that would that there's a definition in the old paradigm, there's a definition in the new paradigm of these words selfless and selfish, right? So I think what you're saying is, or what I feel you're saying, and I agree, is that as we operate thoughts, words, and actions moment by moment, we're operating or moving forward or navigating this thing, life, with the conscious awareness of moving into spaces, allowing things into our space, however you want to put it, that are serving us, and not from a selfish standpoint, but from a standpoint of understanding the karmic retribution that occurs when we go into something. So whether, like for instance, in the example you have about a business exchange, and where you're not going to use money and you're going to trade out services, okay? Uh, Whether money's involved or not, I think as an example, we're moving forward consciously aware that we need to put our thoughts, words, and action into equal energy exchanges, be
That's
a
correct.
business transaction, be it a
That's my
relationship
point.
or any,
That's
yeah,
my point.
yeah. So I think that's a
And
really
nothing
good
wrong
point.
with money. No, no, people don't get me
No, no,
wrong
no.
here. It's not
Mhm.
that. It's, you know what I mean? It is just the fact that maybe if we feel that that structure is faulty, that is, the banking system, let's just say for one, or say, where's your taxes going? Do you really have a word in it?
Well, yes,
Anyways,
that's a
do you
great
know,
example. That's a
it's
great
not even
example.
it's an unfair energetic exchange toward us, the people. So the age of Aquarius says power back to the people, and the people are going to take back the power, and you're going to see then also what's going to happen, because once we visualize and we take this beautiful Neptune, which I love so much, and we're going to create new structures, and it will be the true story. We will be creating new structures of all kinds, inside, outside, and all,
Mm.
but also a lot of crazy stuff is going to come about. I'm not going to hate to tell, because Neptune is also causing a lot of delusions in the head. So, for example, mental diseases might be more rampant, for example. And at 0 degrees Aries, people are going to be more feisty. I'm even actually concerned a little bit with public safety and I'm talking across the globe, like across the, a board, and people going a little bit more crazy, being more rebellious, maybe
Mm.
getting together and saying to the certain authorities, no, we're not doing it. It's
Yeah,
not happening anymore.
it's already started.
It already started
I,
because you see, it dipped into a little bit of that energetics this year for about 4 months. So we got a little taste of it now. But once we go back, like forward to this February 14th date onward, it's
Mhm.
gonna come with Saturn all forward, moving forward, direct,
Uh-huh.
and things are gonna start really amping up. And the other thing that you mentioned something about there is that I wanted to say that with Saturn, to have that black cube and all that. To be honest with you, I've got a lot of things and designations and things, and I'm not, no need to list them. But I don't know about that. It's not my area
Right.
expertise even. But what I do know is that there is no freaking way that you can just float around like kite without a string, okay? There has to be something that grounds us. And this is why it is essential, if you look, how are you gonna actually worry about your root chakra? You know how many actually people and clients I have lately with nothing but root chakra violation? Sciatica, structure, hip, knees, teeth, all that. And even mobility issues. It's almost like I'm not. A lot of people are fixed in their energetic signature, so they find it very hard to come out of that old structure. But the old structures no longer work, no longer serve, so they're going to be jolted even more. Like it's cosmology really, and I see it work. I see it's working. I see it
Right.
in the people as a human being. I see it. So I don't know about this, that, or other, but I do understand that anything and everything has in my view, has two major energetic signature expressions. One is if it's in a low vibrational context, and the other is when it's a high vibrational context. So everything, I believe, depends on the frequency, the vibration, and the torque. So listen, all three. They're not the same idea. Frequency is not vibration, and vibration does not mean frequency. Those are two different things.
Right.
Check them out. Don't believe me. And then they don't do crap without torque. Everything needs torque. See what I'm saying? Power. You know when you're revving an engine. Who doesn't know that? Anyways, I'm a girl that likes cars, by the way. So yeah, torque, torque, anything that's got power, wattage, So, yes, it matters how and what we infuse into any system. So, for me, Saturn is, for example, a very important part of my chart. I'm a rising Capricorn as well. People know my avatar as this lady who is always entrepreneurial before
Uh-huh.
I'm a healer, really. But the thing is, it mostly taught me to discipline myself, even when I was not behaving. And it said, hey, sister, shit is gonna come down. You better freaking do it. And it's a true story. I'm just real. So that's what Saturn is for me. Real. Real, it's a container. Even the energetic body has a container. We call it ojas in Ayurveda. Ojas is your mental stability, mental and physical stability, energetics together. It's like you have the container to withhold what? Heat, pressure. Imagine if I give you a wine glass and then I say, here's a fire hose, except there's like, instead of water, just let's say maybe there's hot water in it, and you just hose that freaking wine glass. What's going to happen? Tell me, what's going to happen with your wine glass?
It's going to break, right?
Right, right. It's gonna crack, it's gonna break, and that's how prana works. Too much shit coming in, too much prana, too much energy into the five senses. If too much heat in someone's life, too much pressure, too much going on, and they're
Mm,
not strong enough, then the, the container cracks. Mm. So
mm,
that's why we want to move them all together, and we want to have the container strong. And so it's as much as, go to the gym, go find an exercise routine. If nothing else, it's because to move the breath is super, super, super important. It keeps the body and the mind more harmoniously together. Good breath movement and good food channel. See what I'm saying? So a lot of
mm.
people I meet them in spiritual communities, and they're all about this idea of, and like sometimes I call it woo woo. I don't know what else to say to you, but there's this ideology that they have, but that's not what it is all about. You know it. You're soulology, and I know it. We're light beings. We're
Mm.
souls. We're soul particles. We're fractal soul particles, and as that, we belong to the oneness. So we understand all of that, right? Like, that.
Yeah. And the other thing that I was curious about too, and thank you for explaining that, is the sun. Okay.
Mm,
So like I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. I think I went to bed at 11, and I
mhm,
woke up at right before 3 o'clock.
mhm,
And I tried to go back to bed for several hours, and I couldn't sleep. I just finally had to get up and start working about 5 or 6 in the morning. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've noticed over this last 10 days or so, there's been a lot of X flares, M flares,
mm,
geo storms. As a
mm,
result,
mm.
whatever they call them,
Yeah,
K6s and K5s
yeah,
and K7,
exactly. It's a new
earthquakes.
language to learn, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I find it interesting that
Yeah.
this is all occurring. We know there's a lot of programming in this realm, and I'm going to say that is kind of like
Mhm,
uh, presenting certain suggestions. Let's just say things that we can pick up as belief systems. These things
mhm,
that we pick up as
mhm,
belief systems, we start to drive the experience that we share together and so on. But there seems to be some type of integration or collision or something as this cycle of cycles ends, and the sun seems to be a part of it. Now, on one
mhm,
hand, you have these, end of the world things, and these catastrophes and floods and fires and whatever the case is. Through our
yeah.
history, they talk about these global catastrophic events and stuff. But at the same time, we're converting in the physical to our crystalline, to our light body. It's becoming more and more. And I just find that very interesting that this is all happening at this time. Like this is a big period that we've entered
Mm,
over the last year
mm,
maybe or whatever it is, and
mm,
we've been building up to it all this time.
mm,
But now that you're explaining this Neptune thing, and then what I've heard from my friend, my astrologer buddy, about the whole Pluto thing. Well,
mm.
Pluto's really cleaning house, like that's
It is,
so it's
right?
like
Yeah.
I guess it all just kind of equates to the truth is coming out, which means if the
Yes.
truth is coming out, then all the
Mm,
lies are going to die, and then this
mm.
is where
That's
I
right.
think where
That's
you're
right.
talking
Yeah.
about Neptune, and
Hmm.
you have both this potential in space for growth and expansion and building
Mm,
new foundation up,
mm,
but also running right next to it, you have this spirit of rebellion and we're not
mm.
taking any more bullshit kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like anything, think about it. When people said, "Oh, computers are evil." Oh my God. Wow. Why? Swords were not evil? Or so, do you know what I mean? Like, or a fork I can just poke someone's eye out with, or what? Like, so every tool, anything and everything that we have, I believe is just a subject to our observation, how
Yeah.
we use them, how
Yeah.
we
It's
use
information.
them.
Yeah. It's all information. I mean, it's
Right? And
information.
even with
Right.
Neptune is water, so huge water energy. So that we talked about the divine feminine. We talked about cleansing, energy also, like so solution, to the pollution is dilution. That we got to dilute it. Water does the dilution process in
Right.
the system. And the same, I believe, in the universe. But what I also feel with that is that it's a larger matrix, and I call it the universal Catan. And that just came because, some friends and came over to my house and we played Catan. And I was like, oh, that's what it is, the universal Catan. It's just they're programming languages, in my opinion. If the moon was brought here, then so be it. But there is a purpose of it. It's been
Right.
programmed to
Right.
for us to, what I think is to bring that ethereal energy down to earth. So it's almost like a transformer station. Like it's like it pumps the information in a way, I feel, because it's also responsible for water, for the feminine energetics, and feminine as in all of us, and that today is full moon in Gemini.
That's right. I
you,
forgot
you
about
and I
that.
never discussed this. I even didn't think about this. We just said December 4th, okay, let's do it. And then it all turns out that it is a very big, what? Clarity, connection, communication. It's the bright, beautiful moon. It's for communicators, messengers. I'd love to see your chart, by the way.
Well, I
Is
think
it, is it
uh,
polite to request that online? I mean, a
oh,
live broadcast?
I've had I've had people do it.
Hmm.
But I think so. I have a Virgo. Is it what's an ascendant? Is that moon rising?
Ascendant is the your rising sign. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think
the
that's
first sign on the eastern horizon when
yeah,
you were born in that
yeah,
in
yeah,
that moment.
yeah. I don't
Rising
know.
Virgo. Hmm.
Yeah,
I
it
could
is
see
Virgo.
that.
Yeah, it's Virgo. I can't remember the rest of them though. But
Uh-huh.
but I was like, oh, I think what the reality is that like say that let's take the example of the moon was brought over here, right?
Hmm.
So on
Hmm.
one hand, that could sound like some kind of nefarious story where they're controlling us, and there could be some truth to that at a certain level of awareness. But the bottom line, everything is energy. So regardless of
Exactly.
what the storyline is, it's the
Exactly.
energy that's presenting itself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You
And
got
so,
it.
yeah, and then not to mention this either. It's like I always look at it this way. Sometimes, like in my own self talk over the years, that the ego, my ego, I'm just speaking for myself, is the lesser the lesser God. What's different about my relationship with the universal, let's say my ego with the universal, than let's say the narrative of the fallen angels and God, right? You know what I mean? So it's like it's like a lesser God. It thinks it knows better, blah blah. We know all this, all right? But what and so I see the realm kind of like that. There's all these
Hmm.
energies that are running the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
However, the nothing out there is is going to get away from the universal energy period. That's
I'm very
limited.
convinced of that.
You know what I mean?
I am
So,
very convinced. And like you
yeah,
said, no matter how it had come about,
mm,
if somebody can expand their mind even beyond the universe, and of course, but come on, this is what happened to Adam and Eve. Don't touch the freaking apple when you can't understand what it's about. Don't go there. It's going to be leakage. What we right now need to do is just keep going with the process. We already have so much new energy coming in. All of the light codes are coming in. All of the solar flares, I'm convinced, are, bringing messages down, especially when our sun and the galactic sun, Sirius, align, which happened just not long ago. When the two of those suns aligned, then we got like a
yeah, that was
downpour
huge.
of even now more massive energetics through the solar information. So that's why we're bombarded, but the conscious mind yet is not catching up yet. So energetically, we could feel a lot of things, and then we could feel that we get lopsided. It's like so much going on. That's why how many people have become healers, energy healers, Reiki masters, this and
Yeah.
that, women picking up, and of course, men, a lot of divination tools. Whether we talked
So,
about
so,
oracle or tarot, and the
yeah.
tarot has major understandings even with quantum physics. So
Right.
when you really look at it, those archetypal energies, and I'm really into archetypal astrology lately. Indeed, I'm taking a course which is mesmerizing, to say the least, because it's a very Jung-like holistic psychology, transpersonal psychology, our understanding of ourselves. When you look at your planets and how they're paired, or how they are not transits now, but just how those planets show up in that wheel
Mm,
together. So let's
mm,
say you and I are two different energetics. When we get together, there's a one particular collective energetics between you and I,
yeah.
which seem to work very well because it's my fourth show with you,
Mm,
right? But let's say now we bring in another person
mm-hmm,
and I don't jive with that person. Just
mm-hmm.
the energy is not good. Whew. It's going to shift now the collective energy up between the three of us. And
Mm,
maybe the conversation will be very different and the whole energy will change. See where I'm
mm,
coming from with this?
mm.
So when there's two planets together, they'll behave a certain way. When
Yeah.
there are three together, they'll behave a certain way. If they're in
Yes.
opposition to each other, they will behave a certain way, those two. If they're in a square in someone's chart, a certain particular energetic signature, archetypal uh, energy I'm talking about that show up, you know, uh, it's flabbergasting to learn that about ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, and there are major examples when we even study this kind of transpersonal psychology, from Mother Teresa to the Dalai Lama to, I don't know, just say something, Sting or Freddie Mercury.
Mm,
How those people had these different energetic archetypal, like energetics that show up in the public a certain similar way.
mm,
For example, or they're all humanitarian in their way. You know what I mean? That they've got certain, even Bono, Sting, certain famous folk have certain energetics that they made very visible in their lifetime. And so we all know them in our culture, that's major characters out there. So
mm,
these archetypal energies work. They're real, real, real
mm.
people that are real stuff. So there has to be some truth to it. Until I see it otherwise, I will say I need to go with the energies that are at my disposal. And this is what we have to work with. And
Yeah.
even imagine how many people have no even idea. They don't believe in energy. Oh, I don't believe in that.
Mm.
What do you mean, for God's sakes?
Well,
Because this has been tens of thousands of years in history, and all the ancient civilizations, and we talked about
well,
this
that's true.
too.
That's true.
They all knew it.
Yeah.
They
Like
all
the
observed the
The
sky.
Dogon tribe, the Aborigines, the Hopis.
They knew it though. You know what I'm saying? Even if,
Yeah,
let's say, they understood there was no moon, but they did understand how the skies worked.
yeah, yeah.
They prepared in accordance, and then the seasons, they prepared based on the seasons, hence the equinox and the solstice and all. And because Capricorn is a cardinal sign, it's going to start on the equinox, on the winter equinox, right? Cardinal signs, cardinal energy is what starts a season.
Okay.
The next cardinal energy is Aries. Aries starts the spring equinox, that starts the new year, the astrological new year. No, New Year starts January 1st. Come on. I mean, I don't want to blow people's, good Christmas time. Don't get me wrong, folk. I'm going to have the tree up because I like lights. So I just basically have shifted myself into the celebration of light while it's dark outside. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
I like my candles. I like my little lanterns. I like so I will enjoy that plenty.
mm.
But does the year start January 1st? Come now. It's actually the middle of Capricorn. Capricorn is the quiet, the heavy, the thing, the internal, the go, the look in there, the quiet downtime, while Aries says, "Oh, fire's throwing, let's go,"
Yeah, I like Aries.
right?
That's because I'm yeah. Now, you said something earlier. I want to go back to because I hadn't really thought about this
Mm,
before. But basically, I think what you were saying was we were talking about the sun
hmm
and the the photonic light or whatever you want to call it,
hmm
the
That's what
coding.
yep.
Yeah, the sun
Photonic
coding.
light belt we're in too, like Earth
Mm,
itself
yeah.
is in a photonic light belt for how long?
Hmm.
2000 years. So
Ah,
buckle up,
interesting.
buttercups. It's here.
Uh, but you made the comment that this is why you see so many healers. You know,
Mm,
it's interesting because watching the social media in this type of community
mhm,
over the years and different platforms, there really has been an explosion. I mean,
mhm.
if I went down, let's just say my friends list, I would bet you at least one in five, maybe even one in three, are some
Insane.
type of healer of some sort, or
Yeah.
they're utilizing or expressing
Mhm,
something that's come through the downloads they received that's kind of purpose driven. Okay,
mhm,
so and then you see comments and people talking about you should charge, you shouldn't charge, and this and that, and kind of throwing shade on
mhm,
the energetic healers. But what you say, I've got to agree with you, is that it's really less about the egoic perception or judgment
mhm,
uh, of what these people represent or what they are or what they're doing. It's
mhm,
more about the characteristic of the evolutionary change that's occurring. So
mhm.
eventually, everyone will be self. We're kind of headed down a trajectory that everyone will be self-sourcing,
I was
and
just going to say almost the same word, but I was
right,
going to say everybody's got a self-healer.
yeah.
So I even stopped saying like I'm not a healer, but I guide you to self-healing. So I'd rather teach you how to do self-healing, but there's mechanisms to that, or there's knowledge to that, or systems to that. And you know what? I feel not one thing is wrong with consciousness and prosperity. Don't be ridiculous because not you, but I'm saying in the general, don't be ridiculous. Without, prosperity, spirituality is just gonna be leaving us in a very bad position. You see what I'm saying about prosperity? Why do people feel that there's anything wrong with exchanging? Whatever that exchange is fair.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, I was talking more about just that's kind of like sidebar issues, but that, in other words, this is something that I have never heard anyone else say that. I'll say that. But, and I'm not saying that you're the first one that ever said it. I'm just saying that it's the first time it's come in my field that
Mhm,
what we're actually looking at, and this is what's happening. Because I've said this a few times this year. I'm like, man, It's almost like, well, I kind of make the joke a few times that, everybody's becoming so smart. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it
I
kind of,
know what you mean. Woo,
but I'm
I
saying that,
do.
we're self-sourcing. It's
Yeah,
becoming more obvious.
yeah.
Even a lot of the nomenclature, a lot of the words, obviously, that kind of originated in these communities is now being utilized,
Mm,
in the collective mainstream,
mm,
one way
mm,
or the other, right?
mm,
Whether it's
mm,
bastardized
mm,
or being
mm,
normalized
mm,
properly.
mm,
But yeah,
mm.
so it's interesting that you have this explosion of energy healing capabilities. Okay,
Yes. And I think
and
we are congregating, a lot of us, because it's like a vibe tribe. Like, oh, I'm
mm,
looking for my vibe tribe. And one of my vibe tribers, said, "Hey, you should interview Orshi or put a note under your thing one day." And he said to me, "You should go on the Todd Medina show." Do you know what I mean? It's a vibe tribing.
yeah, yeah,
That's why we just like had a very natural connection. And so what happens is a lot of us have been initiated, I want to say, to step into the purposeful living.
mm,
And so that's where really the beef of the matter is, that we're here to help others, every single one of us
good.
in our circles of whatever your circle is, looking like, online, offline, whatever. But we're here to bring those messages. We are more of the messengers. And so this is a full moon in Gemini. It's about messenger of the sky and earth. So that's
Mm,
what Gemini is: a communication, a messengering, all that. And it's a Mercury driven. So your being a rising Virgo is a very much of a thinker,
mm.
you know. Virgo actually
So the
doesn't talk as much as a Gemini. If you, I don't know if you noticed, because I'm Gemini,
Oh,
but
you're Gemini.
the
But
Virgo
no,
is
this is a
an
good.
internal thinker, So
Yeah.
it's of the mind. And
So the full moon that we're experiencing right now, okay, the last one for the year, for the calendar year, Gregorian calendar year, is a Gemini full moon. So that
right
would
now, today, yes.
right, and so that, as I understand it, is communication,
Mhm.
right? And I guess Gemini is always that twin factor, right?
Polarity,
Yeah,
polarity
the
is a big
pair.
thing.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's
yeah.
why I'm saying, like a communicator between earth and sky. So just because, let's say, you're not Gemini, that doesn't mean anything. We all have a part of our life in a particular signature.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying to you
Yeah.
here, like, so that would mean that if you're a rising Virgo, then your 12, 11, 10, your 10th house is Gemini, my friend. And the 10th house is the most public space known about a human being to the world. And if you're a 10th house Gemini, that explains to me that this is what you do for your career. Most likely, probably even your career line is running right in your 10th house, which is most of the cases, not always, by the way, but yes. So you are basically known for you being a communicator.
Mm, mm. Well, I
Okay.
see that the Gemini thing too is interesting because, and let me think of an example. It's probably not a great example, but the polarity thing. Like we
Mhm,
have this polarity of the human experience, and I love what you said, the communicator between basically the sky and the earth, right?
mhm,
The cosmos and the earth. So
mhm,
if you take a subject like, okay, there's a narrative that the moon is a soul, what do you call it? When you come, a soul reincarnation loop, and it's got a nefarious tone to it and all that.
mhm,
But at the same time, okay, there's another narrative that says Earth is, a tough school, uh, and it takes takes a few lives or maybe many lives to get everything that we need before we graduate.
mhm,
So both of them would have some accuracy,
mhm,
okay, uh, and this is kind of like, to me, important, this integration of polarities, especially in a very dualistic polarity field, like this realm,
Mhm, mhm,
and
mhm.
that's the kind of space that we're looking for. So that to me is kind of encouraging that we're in this new moon or this full moon that is a Gemini full moon, and it's about communication and integrating polarities, right?
And connection, but it could be also connecting, the left side of the brain with the right side, your feminine side or your masculine side, or your yin and yang, or Ida Pingala. It's connecting the two, concepts, earth and sky, moving the energy and communicating, is, by the way, one of the major air energies that exist in the biofield, as we understand in Ayurveda, by the way, is that it comes kind of upward through your throat and then out, is how I express myself,
Mm,
even though the throat chakra is not just talking, it's expressing. So I always have long earrings. I mean, everybody knows this about me.
mm,
If I don't have my earring on, I fall. I swear. It's like it has to be like I have to have it. It's part of my self-expression. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Or
mm-hmm,
so, you know what I mean? Or some people just, like to wear very bright colors
mm,
because that's their way of expressing. Some people like to be very just classy and very streamlined and very just simple in their clothing, and they're wonderful, amazing thinkers, but they don't want to think about these other frilly stuff, so we're so differently expressing ourselves, how someone's house looks, some people like all the walls white, and so on. And all I'm just saying is that that is an air energetic, so this is all connecting to expression. That's why it's expression. You press it out of you and you express it to the world. So Gemini is that. And so that energy is, by the way, often frowned upon because people say, oh, they're two-faced, or they're this and that. They're 1 minute they're this, the next minute that. But the truth is that that is maybe the low vibrational aspect of that signature. And that is true for every signature. Every signature has a low and a high, you know what I mean? A
mm.
higher
Yeah,
self of it and a lower self of it. I don't know. On me, for one, I like to fly the high end, and I like to look at the brighter side,
yeah,
and always or at least I allow that to guide me, because I can
yeah,
get very dark as well, as that's because I deal with transformations, and
yeah.
I see a lot of people in a tough circumstance or tough situation in their life, and I I somehow understand that plutonic energy in me. And so I'm really a transformer. And I stepped into this. And, actually, this was a download for me on one of the spring equinoxes a few years back. And after a cacao ceremony. And
Mm,
I was journaling, and it was just coming. And then it was just coming, and I was writing it out. And then when I read it afterwards, I was like, oh, a lot of the messages are here. And I stepped into that. I said, damn, I'm a transformer. That's why all of these things have been happening to me in my life. So I was able to put it all together. So there's transformations, and we need to communicate. Communicate to those people who need to actually learn it, as we've learned it from someone as well. I'm sure that you had an initiation and then you start searching. Like you said, we're self-sourcing now. We want to learn ourselves. We want to know more. And that collectively is going to make a huge difference. And I believe in that. I told you
mm.
this even last time. I truly believe in that.
No,
But
I
I
do too.
also I also
Yeah,
believe that the bad codes, just for the one, those codes you were talking about, or those, not even you said codes. What did you say? Those old structural limitations that were put on
yeah,
us. I think we're diffusing that now. We're freaking pushing through with light
yeah. Well,
collectively.
yeah, the control. I would call it control. Like
Mhm,
control to me is like, especially if you don't know you're being controlled. And so I think that's part of what we're doing too, is we're coming into this awareness, realizing, hey, we're being played here. And it's just you can just see it. It's like a collision, it's a nexus point. So
And
yeah, I'm
we're remembering. So And that's Neptune too, because Neptune loosened up the field. So it's almost like we're all having, a lot of us have past life regression journeys,
Mm,
remembering how they, in the name of the, these concepts to me 20 years ago. I'm just going to say, hey, here I am. 20 years ago, you were telling me these words. I'd be like, what are you freaking talking about now already?
mhm,
Like, just come on. And see what I'm saying? Like, there's the level of understanding, my level of consciousness. And I'm like, where am I getting all this craziness from, that I used to be this and that in this country, and I know exactly who I was.
mm.
And
Yeah,
I know it. And I'm talking deep knowing. And no, there is no science for that. I mean, there is
right.
science of the subtle anatomy
Yeah.
and the wisdom. And it's
Now,
all it's all out there. It's just we have to, I think we have to open our ethereal field to have a better understanding, and then it's all then just emerging. So it's going to be very busy, like I said. So grounding ourselves is so very important, I still say, while we're going through this.
yes, thank you. I'm going to have to go do that right now because I have another show. But before we get out of here, I want to just kind of recap and you fill in the blanks. All right. So we're we're in December, and we've got a solstice coming. We have that energy of the three eye atlas, and whatever that is. I'm speaking energetically, coming about
Mm,
the same time.
mm,
Um, we're in a Gemini full moon, so we have, and then we have the Neptune thing, right? So we have uh, a lot of things coming, being presented to us, things that are hanging there that need to be taken care of, or yeah, that would be the way I think I understood it. And then you have this communication thing that's with the Gemini full moon, connectivity, communication, polarity, heading,
networking,
yeah, networking, heading right into the
telepathy. You see what I'm saying? Like the way we're going to communicate, and also transportation.
mm, transportation.
Yeah, we can talk about even teleportation. Who
Mm.
knows where it's going to go
Well,
crazy?
if you
That's how
have
I feel.
if you have connection between the cosmos and the earth is
Mhm,
what you're talking about, the communication, then it would make
mm,
sense that
mm,
that big Todd and little Todd's connection would be stronger. Now, I have experienced in the last few days more psychic, kind of an uptick in the psychic phenomena, you might say, which is interesting. And also, I can tell there's been a hell of a lot of solar code coming in, or photonic energy coming in, because my third eye always gets very dry, like in a circle,
mm,
and so it's really inflamed in the last 2 or 3 days.
mm,
But to continue this and conclude it, so once we get to the solstice, and then we go into the new season, right? You described what would kind of be in the field up to the middle of February. And it sounds like, from what you're saying, is it's, if I want to just kind of simplify it, and please fill in the blanks, it's kind of a getting prepared, uh, getting focused, cleaning up the house, so to speak. And come February 14th or thereabouts, it's going to be kind of like go time. Is that right?
It's all systems go. And
Okay.
it's a 250-year cycle coming with a 30-year cycle with Kronos, guy of Saturn. So that's why it's got the significance. And they both come to 0 degrees Aries.
Wow.
And that is profound, I'm saying.
That sounds profound. I don't even know astrology, but to have two of them come to zero at the same time.
And two really big ones, like a really big, because one brings it down
Hmm.
to earth, but the other one is a full cycle of our imagination and all of the what's in our ethereal field. So there's almost like a restructurization
Right.
of our belief systems, of our energetic field, of our ethereal being that we are, and a new understanding that's going to emerge, you know. I
That
mean, I
sounds,
can go into so much. I know that we're going to run out of time, like you
yeah.
said, but
Well,
that's why
I think
all.
I think that's fantastic because I believe imagination is our strongest power, and if that we're going to
Mhm.
have that in our field, then that to me just speaks to creativity, sacred sexual energy,
Mhm.
manifestation,
That's right.
connectivity.
Visualization,
Yeah,
manifestation.
yeah,
Yes, because how do we manifest well? What if you manifest the wrong crap, so to
mm,
speak? So
yeah,
you really need to know how to visualize well. And in order to know what you really want, you really need to know yourself.
yeah,
You really need to get to the self-awareness at such a level, and then it's also going to bring a lot of healing at the very same time.
yeah.
So all of those processes are going on at the very same time. And reset, Valentine's
Yeah.
Day next year,
Here we go.
and it's so 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 fast coming, like,
Yeah, that's for sure. That's
right.
for sure. Yeah, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It was 2024, wasn't it?
Exactly. I
Well,
mean,
thank you for coming in again and filling us with so much information. I've got to get ready for another show, and I'm going to go do a little grounding before I do.
yes, it's a good
But
idea.
thank you. Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you. And I
much.
thank you so much for having me again. And
Yeah.
we'll see each other soon enough.
Okay.